I don't think the situation in France. I think England will be different. I can see a point where English men are going to react and react en masse. And I'd say by the phone calls I've been receiving all week that they're pushing the point close already. I don't see any. There is no reasonable solution to this with the problems they've imported. We all know that. So to get through this and to bring the change we need, there's going to be chaos either way. Because if we try to enforce the laws that we already have, which should be enforced upon that community in order to bring about that change, there's going to be huge chaos from them, riots on mass levels. And if they ignore them and they continue to allow it go this way, I can see them creating English bombers. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do that. And again, just I look at it as a father of three. It's just there's no light at the end of the tunnel here for anyone. So when people get desperate like that, which is why I keep saying it's like they're forcing people down that path.
We see more religion of peace celebrations. Mexicans like to eat enchiladas and have fun and shoot fireworks and drink tequila and beer on their holidays and hit piñatas. And, well, if you talk about white folks around here, we like doing the same thing on holidays. Or 4th of July, same thing. Eat enchiladas or hamburgers or steaks and shoot fireworks off in the air. And pretty much everybody else, like you go to Thailand or you go to China or you go to Russia or you go to Brazil, you go to Japan. They like doing the same thing on their holidays. It's pretty much the same deal. Get together, eat food, have a few drinks, light some lanterns off, shoot them up in the sky, whatever. Not with Islam. Why? During the month of Ramadan, we always see tens of thousands of Christians killed all over the world, hundreds and hundreds killed in the West. And so George Soros and the UN, they had a plan. They said, just bring them in masse. Bring the folks in that can't even live with each other in peace in their own countries, and everything will turn out just wonderfully. And now we've got people taken hostage in Australia by people screaming, this is for Allah. So I guess they got tired of Allah Akbar. Now it's, this is for Allah. And the same thing happened with this attacking a cop with a hammer, so the cop's hurt and the jihadi's been shot. And you've got the London Bridge and the Lion of London Bridge, the guy that took on the 3 guys. They come in, they start stabbing everybody, and one guy, they call him a football hooligan, 47-year-old guy gets up and starts fighting him until the police get there, and he gets stabbed in the neck and stabbed in the chest and stabbed in the arms, and some liberals are calling for him to be arrested for a hate crime. I'm not kidding. They charge you in England if you fight back. In fact, our guest, who is a hero, ladies and gentlemen, has been put in jail before. Tommy Robbins of the Rebel.media on Twitter, T. Robbins, New Era, amazing guy. Everybody loves him. I remember thinking he was a radical 10 years ago when I first learned about him. Paul Watson, of course, really introduced him to me on air to show how ignorant I am the last few years, to actually start following his work. Thank God he now actually makes documentaries and does news. We can see who he is, not what the media says about him. And this is all part of a process as we all learn how lied to we've been and how we want to be politically correct, even if we're libertarians. We want to try to live and let live. Well, if people don't want to live and let live with us, it's suicide to go along with it. And so I'm done. The greatest victims of Islam, are the people in it. And folks across the UK are fed up with it. So he joins us more and more, unfortunately. Used to be every month that there'd be a terror attack at Beyond. Now it's every couple days in the UK. And we almost just forget about him. And that's what Khan, the mayor, said. Don't let Trump come, he said today. He's the problem. And he said we should just get used to these terror attacks. And then it's no big deal. And then it's not Islam. That's the London stand mayor that said if the Brexit doesn't let more Muslims in, he'll just block it. Himself, he'll block the government and just bring them in. He's in sedition. But he's the good cop, bad cop thing. So Tommy Robbins joins us. He has a new video. He goes to these mosques where they're radicalizing these very people. He confronts them. He shows where they live. People that are calling for jihad and the death live right next to schools. And that's what Muslims target, the weakest. They want it to be the most heinous, like Genghis Khan would do. He wasn't a Muslim, but the same thing, because it creates a terror. It drives you out. That's what the Prophet Muhammad said you should do. Peace be upon him, because there's the peace of total submission. So the religion of peace strikes again. But again, none of this has anything to do with Islam. So Tommy Robbins, just crazy to see this unfolding.
Hi, Alex.
Where do you want to begin? Because give us the numbers, the facts. What's going on, the numbers. 500 ongoing plots, Scotland Yard says. Is that accurate?
500 open investigations to plots. 3 plots which you've seen, which was the Westminster attack by Khalid Masood, the most recent one, London Bridge, and then the attack on the children's concert in Manchester, and 5 failed attempts in the last 3 months. We have over 3,000 Muslims on 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week watch that are a potential threat to us, and we have up to 23 to 25,000 Muslims who are on the terror watch. That's the reality of where we're at. Terrorism offences go up 60% every year. So what we need to understand, and everyone needs to understand, is there's problems not getting better. I remember David Cameron, after Lee Rigby was beheaded, a member of our military, on the streets of London. David Cameron set up a government task force. He come out the next day, like Theresa May's just done. He come out with this big speech about, we will now combat this extremism. We have this 5-year plan. I remember sitting there at the time saying, it's going to be a lot worse in 5 years, because you still have not even named the problem. You haven't identified the problem. Now, in that 5 years of, whilst David Cameron had this big plan, in that 5 years, 4 times as many Muslims joined ISIS than have ever signed up to the British military. We've allowed in excess of 500 of them who have been trained in Syria. They've been out there already. They've been raping, pillaging, murdering. They're now back, walking around our streets. I've actually been looking at the whereabouts, trying to find some of them this week. One of them's working in a car park as a car park attendant at a hospital in the UK. The most recent, that video that you're showing there, that most recent video, that man's name is Abu Halima. Okay, he's one of the most radical extremists in our country. He was working as a bus driver, Alex, a bus driver in London. So at any point that he wanted to ram that bus into whatever he could have. But obviously, if the government's put him on a watch list, one of the top watch lists, they know he's a threat. So they're fully aware what a threat he is to us.
Why don't we get him a jet pilot's license? Maybe he can fly 777s.
This is how ludicrous. It doesn't sound believable, does it? They also went into his house and they seized his passport because they knew he was going to try and fight jihad in Syria. So when you take away a Muslim's passport, you prevent him from going. We know he wants to fight jihad. That is leaving a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Now, as we've seen recently, it's exploding on children. And most recently, innocent women sitting having a restaurant in London have had knives ploughed into their neck. Okay? Now, so we know this man's a danger. And when I track him down and find out where he is, they've housed him in a lovely area with our money next to our kids in a school. So even I understand, because there was an attack after the last Westminster Bridge attack, there was another attack stopped where they've been following this Muslim for 3-4 months, and they followed him and he had a bag full of knives and he just got to Parliament where he was just about to attack someone and they jumped out and arrested him. Yeah. So in those circumstances, yeah, okay, you can monitor them and arrest them. Where he lives, he has to climb over his back garden and he's in the children's playground. You can't stop that. They cannot stop that. So the danger they're putting us in as a public is an absolute liberty that the government are doing this. These men, especially the ones who've been fighting for ISIS, all the ones on the terror watch list, what you find out again, I found out again, one of these London Bridge attackers was a failed asylum seeker. What's he doing here? What is he doing here? Not only is he a failed asylum seeker, one of the other ones appeared on a documentary 12 months ago called The Jihadi Next Door. They're walking around our streets.
So let's be clear. They're launching more and more attacks. ISIS said 3 years ago, we're going to flood Europe and the UK with millions. And inside those millions of refugees, we have hundreds of thousands of operatives. And then we're going to have the sleeper cells activate. And we see exponentially them activating here, Europe, Australia, Russia. And when Russia gets bombed, our media actually goes, oh, you're bad, you deserve it. I mean, there is like an alliance with the left and Islam that you and others have been exposing for a long time. David Horowitz, you name it. And they're in the news. And then I have media say, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Jones believes Europe is knowingly bringing in ISIS, when Merkel and others advertise, come here, put you up in government housing, pay for you, put you in nice areas, kick pensioners out of their Section 8 housing in Sweden, in Germany, in Denmark, in Finland. I mean, you cannot, in Italy, there's countless footage of old people and stuff being thrown out of their houses, hotels being, the paying customers thrown out, and asylum seekers that have been shuttled in on George Soros boats, literally, from the coast of Libya, brought into the country. What is the master plan? A. Then B, where do you see this going? Because I said this in the last hour, and I said it to create a controversy. I said, people that are known ISIS fighters, that have killed people, that have raped women, that have murdered, they all post videos of it. Why are you letting them back in? Why are you giving them government jobs? Why are you putting police cars outside their houses to, quote, protect them, like you just showed in the video we aired before you came on? It's on Infowars.com and on Rebel Media. When you look at this, I'm saying they should be tried for their crimes against humanity, just like Nazis at Nuremberg. They should be executed. And if they're convicted, I will kick the lever, saying I'm willing to stand up to them. I'm sick of this. And you've got these guys 80% on welfare, literally wearing women's nightgowns, walking around wearing diapers, not working, usually weighing 400 pounds, bitching at everyone with their big greasy beards, just running around. I mean, it's disgusting, and it's a joke. And then there are women that are wearing hoods and are kept in cages at home, and I'm just sick of them. So literally, I don't want violence. What I'm saying is they're bringing in violent groups. They've domesticated that out of a whole pub of like 100 people, one guy went and started trying to fight back, and then the media calls him a wild man. I mean, what planet are we on?
And the maddest part of all of that is that we're paying for them. We are actually paying for all of this ourselves, out of our taxpayers' money. We keep hearing, we're in an election campaign, there's an election on Thursday. We keep hearing about the shortage of police. Those 3,000 men, to monitor one of them, costs £2 million, yeah? To monitor one of them a year. Now, it takes 3 sets of 9 men each day to monitor them. That's 27 officers a day. Times by 3,000. And we've got a shortage of police. We've got a shortage of money.
By the way, let's also talk about what percentage of the birth defects are Muslims' babies because of the inbreeding, and what percentage of the crime. I mean, it's like take the most barbarous, inbred, insane people, bring them into one of the most beautiful places, one of the freest places in the world, and turn it into a giant open sewer.
3% of Britain is Pakistani. 33% of all child defects are Pakistani. That's what we've imported. The cost, again, like I said, the terrorism, all of these things, but the cost to our country, when we're going without, when old people are going out, when everyone's moaning about the cutbacks and the financial problems that the country's having, and then we look at what money we're spending, which we, even when you go on about the inbreeding, why? It's 2017. We're fully aware of the problems when a cousin marries a cousin. Why are we allowing upwards of, I think it's upwards to 70% in one city in England called Bradford, upwards of 70% of them are married to first cousins. Why are we allowing this? Well, we know why it happens, because Muhammad did it. So because the Prophet Muhammad did it, and we know that everything he did was perfect, then if he married his cousin, you can marry his cousin. If he said sleep with marry a 6-year-old and rape her when she's 9, you can. All the problems, again, all the problems come back. Even when we look at the thoughts of the British Muslim community, we see that 66% of them would not report on another Muslim who was going to fight or join ISIS, terrorism. 66%. Now, why is that? That's because of the scripture in the Quran that tells them they can never side or go against a Muslim because they'll end up in hellfire.
And by the way, tell us about this guy that has police protection you just showed a few days ago. He's walking around on the video saying, what do you do to gays? I throw them off buildings. I mean, this guy just is saying he wants to do all this, and he's not even from the UK, and they won't get rid of him.
Obviously, we had to cut that video in certain bits, but there's also things he says where he basically admits that, I support ISIS. Basically sits there and admits it. So when he had there was no police protection there until I went to his house. Yeah? So once I've gone to his house, which is when I spoke to the police officer, I said, so let me get this clear. yesterday, you weren't sat here. So if he wanted to walk out of his house and he's a danger, which we know he is, to any of the people living on this road or any of those school children in that playground, you weren't here. The police, you were not here to protect us. But now that I'm here you are to protect him. Do you know how insane that is? Do you know how ridiculous that is? And again, this is us paying for it. Why? You know how hard it is to get a British police officer in the UK for crimes. And here they are guarding an ISIS-supporting scumbag terrorist who should not even be breathing the same air as us. That's where we're at. And it's so frustrating because this isn't a one-off. This is happening across our country. They are literally housing jihadists next to our schools with our kids. And we're supposed to, and when you say, where is it leading? I don't wish for anything, but I have to, in all honesty, my phone has not stopped. And it's not stopped with every sort of character across the whole country who is demanding some sort of action and some sort of path or some sort of guidance in what to do. Because, and what they're going to do, and I say it in that video, you're going to create a monster, because when the police fail and the state and the system fails to protect its citizens, which it's doing now, right now, it fails. There's no argument about it. They have got blood on their hands. That most recent attack, if they'd have listened to what we've been asking them, if they'd have listened to the laws we've been demanding them to implement for almost a decade, then these people would be alive. That's it. There's no ifs and buts.
And let me expand on where you think this is going to go, because look at Paris. They're reporting that their tourism's down by half the last few years, 80% on the decade. I sent a crew there last year. There were no-go zones all over the place. We went to Brussels, Belgium, no-go zones everywhere. The Muslims are so aggressive, so hateful. They won't give you service at restaurants, gas stations, taxi drivers more and more. There is a jihad on. And they admit that France is going bankrupt because of this, but they don't care. They won't stop. It's this commitment. So where is this going to go? Because I've talked to so many folks we've had on from the UK, the fellow that caught the video of CNN doing the fake press conference with the Muslims saying they were sorry, which of course was all fake, because they don't do that. And he said him and his girlfriend won't go out now during Ramadan because they knew this would happen. And this is what's going on.
So the security and the stability that we enjoyed as a generation and the previous generation growing up, we're handing it away. So our children will not enjoy those freedoms. Our children in years to come, the simple things of going to a pop concert, which we take for granted, will not be the same for the next generation. People going out and enjoying themselves, people going out into bars, there will be an install of fear, and that comes down to strike fear into the heart of the disbeliever. Again, scripture in the Quran, 12:8.
That's why they target little girls, little boys. That's why they eat hearts. That's why they want to be as nasty as possible and have videos of 6-year-old boys killing people, is to strike fear in our hearts and terrorize us into submission.
And terrorize us. I see we're not far off. I've been saying it for years. We weren't far off the young children, but also just starting on the end of one road and going into the houses and killing every people in the road, yeah? Now, when they do that, which at some point I believe they will, when they do that, the whole country, when they're going to bed that night, it's a door locked. It's a door locked. Everyone will be worried. Everyone will be fearful.
Stay there. Let's talk about the time bomb. What you're warning of right now with Tommy Robinson. Let's get past Islam.